Hi friends, myself Advocate Shahid Ali Ansari. Today I would like to address you on one of the important and pivotal subject of law, criminal, and that is mentioned in Criminal Procedure Code section 197 of CRPC. Section 197 of the CRPC speaks about previous sanction so as to prosecute the public servant, judges or magistrate, etc. Yesterday I have delivered a lecture about private complaint which is mentioned in section 156 subsection 3 of CRPC. Therefore, section 197 of CRPC is very much connected or related with section 156 subsection 3 of CRPC as well as section 190 of CRPC. In 190, the magistrate is authorized to take cognizance. Therefore, he can take cognizance by three ways. Number one, suo motu magistrate can take cognizance. Number two, a magistrate can take cognizance on police report which is filed under 73 of CRPC, that we called charge sheet. Thereafter, a magistrate can also take a cognizance on private complaint filed by any complainant. Therefore, section 197 of CRPC is related or comes into picture when anybody has filed complaint against the public authority or public servant. The definition of public servant is already given under the Indian Penal Code. Simply that in a public servant means anyone who is working in central government or state government, be it legislature, judiciary or executive. Anyone who is working as an officer or employee in government, such a person, that person is called public servant. Therefore, to prosecute such a public servant, magistrate or judges, the previous sanction is required to be obtained, because what section 197 of CRPC says that there is embargo upon the right of the magistrate. Some limitations have been put upon the right of the magistrate, that is JMFC, who cannot take cognizance of the alleged to have been committed by public servant, magistrate or judges. Because why? They have got the protection under section 197 of CRPC, which works like a protective umbrella which protects them. Therefore, unless a sanction or previous sanction is obtained from the competent authority, their higher authority, then complainant cannot file a complaint. Even if complainant files the case, private complaint, before the magistrate court, then no magistrate can take cognizance of that against the public servant or judges or magistrate unless a previous sanction is obtained. Now let us go through this, so many aspects related to this which I would like to discuss here. Now, very important question arises to our mind that when anybody has filed a private complaint, suppose the argument is going on at this stage, at the first stage when the argument of the advocate of the complainant is going on, that time if the case, obviously case is filed against the public servant, then magistrate ask this question that whether previous sanction of the competent authority is obtained or not. In case, suppose if the complainant has not obtained the previous sanction, then at this juncture of time, whether magistrate can dismiss the complaint on the ground that previous sanction is not obtained. Because why? Section 197 of the CRPC says that while no magistrate can take cognizance. So another question arises whether hearing the complainant for the first time in private complaint filed under section 156 subsection 3, can it be said that the magistrate is taking cognizance or applying his mind? Because merely hearing of the parties and giving direction to the police officer to register FIR and to do investigation, whether such a order of the magistrate amounts to taking cognizance, this is the question of law. Though it is debatable that some of the people, they say that it is taking cognizance because directing by the magistrate to the police officer to register FIR and to do investigation, whether it is, can it be called as a taking cognizance. Number of judgments are there, but this does not mean taking cognizance, because why? It is pre-cognizance stage. For example, I would like to explain. Taking cognizance means what? Taking cognizance by magistrate means applying his judicial mind, and in pursuance of section 190 of CRPC, he takes cognizance by three ways, which I have already explained. So taking cognizance means when magistrate apply his mind, judicial brain, or he calls the witness person in the witness box and examine that person, or issue process thereafter, then that is called taking cognizance. Therefore, merely directing the police officer to register offense, crime, and do investigation and submit the report, that order itself is not taking cognizance. It cannot be called as a taking cognizance, because why? It is pre-cognizance stage. The magistrate, after submission of the police report by the police, then magistrate will apply his mind, because police may submit A summary report, B summary report, or C summary report, as the case may be. Thereafter, a magistrate can apply his mind, and magistrate is not bound to accept the report of the police. Therefore, he may apply his mind, judicial mind, etc. Therefore, merely directing the police to do investigation, this is pre-cognizance stage. Therefore, such orders issued by the magistrate is not taking cognizance. It cannot be said that it is magistrate has taken cognizance. Now, it means, therefore, the magistrate at this juncture of time cannot ask the question to the complainant whether you have sought the sanction or not, and magistrate cannot dismiss the case on this ground alone, because of the fact that the no sanction of the competent authorities obtained by the person complainant. On this ground, no case can be dismissed. In one of such a cases, the magistrate has did the same thing in Mumbai. Thereafter, the matter came to the Honorable High Court of Bombay, and High Court of Bombay in that case has pointed out that it is pre-cognizance stage and it is not post-cognizance stage, because merely giving direction to the police officer to do investigation to register FIR is not taking cognizance. It is pre-cognizance stage. Another question arises when sanction is required to be obtained and when sanction is not required to be obtained, because this protective umbrella is granted to the public servant, judges and magistrate, etc., whether they were working as a judge or right now they are working as a public servant, because that protective umbrella is granted to them even if they have retired. This is also debatable, another issue, because the wording of section 197 of CRPC used word or, they are working or were working. So this protective umbrella is granted to them while discharging their official duty. So the alleged conduct or alleged act or alleged offense must have been done, and the alleged act or conduct must be so connected with the duty of the public servant that it cannot be segregated. Then and then only they will get the protection under section 197 of CRPC. Therefore, if any public servant while discharging his official duty or acting or purporting to act, and he did the same thing, he did the same conduct or offense, then and then only he will get the protection. If the alleged offense or act is not part of his duty, then he will not get the protection under section 197. The object, the purpose behind providing section 197 of CRPC is that nobody should file the cases against the public servant, nobody should take them for granted. For example, public officers, public servant like collector, IAS, IPS, Tahsildar, judges, ministers, they perform their duties. So they may pass orders while discharging duties. They are people, they are so busy. Therefore, if anybody files complaint and if magistrate take cognizance against them, then they have to come to the court as accused, they have to remain present, etc., leaving their official work. Then they won't be able to perform smoothly their official work as a public servant or public officer. Therefore, this protection or protective umbrella is granted to them. That is the purpose behind that. That is the object behind giving this protection under 197 of CRPC. Now, in some cases, we have to apply our mind when sanction is required to be taken and when sanction is not required to be taken. There are two situations. Number one, suppose a public servant has committed offense while discharging his duty, then only the protective umbrella is granted to them. Suppose he did something like offense under section 420, cheating, or offense under section 467 of IPC, that is forgery, or offense of kidnapping, or offense of taking the bribe under corruption and corruption laws, etc., and offense of outraging the modesty of colleague, etc. In that case, they will not be protected under this section 197, and directly a magistrate is not barred to take cognizance because they have committed offenses which is not part of their duty. Doing crime like a 420 or forgery or outraging the modesty of woman or taking the bribe is surely not the duty or work of the public servant, because he has not been appointed for that purpose. Therefore, in such a cases or situation, sanction is not required to be taken. Police can directly register FIR, that is pre-cognizance stage obviously. Even complaint can be filed against them under section 156, and magistrate can also take cognizance in such a cases, because the protective umbrella under section 197 is not available to them right now, because in such a situation, because it was not their part of duty, they need to be checked out by magistrate whether it was part of their duty. So the alleged conduct has been done or purported to have been done while discharging official duty, then and then only he will get the protection under section 197, and there should be nexus between his official duty and the alleged act. For example, a judge is supposed to pass the order. Likewise, the collector is also supposed to pass some order, being a quasi-judicial authority. Then he passes such order. Then passing of the order, though intentionally, though it may be an offense, however, if anybody wants to file or prosecute them, in that case, he has to obtain the sanction of the competent authorities, because passing of the order is nature of the work, function of the judge or collector, etc. Therefore, for which they will certainly get the protection under section 197. On the contrary, suppose public officer has collected the money, huge money, or taken the bribe, or did forgery, or cheating, etc., or committed any offense of any crime, etc., in that case, no protective umbrella is applicable to them. So these need to be classified. First of all, applying the mind, testing the ingredient of section 197, when sanction is required, when sanction is not required to prosecute the public servant. To check, once again I am going to repeat it, whether alleged act is part of his duty, yes or no, whether the alleged act has been done while, yes or no, whether there is a nexus between the official duty and the alleged act. That elements need to be checked first, and classification has to be done in two ways. Sometimes it is very difficult to find out whether sanction is required to be obtained or not. For example, the duty is of such a nature which sometimes feels that it is an offense committed by them. For example, there are two case laws which I would like to discuss here. One is Abdul Wahab Ansari versus State of Bihar. In this case, the Honorable Supreme Court has pointed out and said that finally, when the matter went to Honorable Supreme Court said that no cognizance should have been taken as the sanction under Section 197 was required to be obtained. In this case, a police inspector Abdul Wahab Ansari was under an order of the collector. Under a written order of the collector, he was allowed to disperse the public, and he was given a gun. And in case of to control the mob, he was allowed to fire, and to disperse the mob, to have control over the people, mob, etc. He tried to disperse them. So he fired the gun. Somehow got injured, many have got injured, and one of the person has died. Therefore, criminal case was filed against him. In that case, finally, Honorable Supreme Court said that he was given order by the collector that in emergent situation he is allowed to fire. Therefore, he was discharging his official duty, and the said act was done by him while discharging his official duty. It was under an order of the collector. Therefore, for which sanction of the competent authority is required to prosecute him. And that time no sanction was taken, therefore that order was not sustained. So this was the view of the Honorable Supreme Court in Abdul Wahab Ansari versus State of Bihar. Sometime in this case it was difficult to find out whether sanction is required or not. But looking at the order of the district magistrate collector, then he was allowed to fire in exceptional cases to control the mobs, etc. Therefore, his act was justified. Another case laws which I would like to discuss here, Raj Kishore Roy versus another. In that case, a police officer has falsely implicated the accused, who became later on complainant, who filed the case against him for false implication. That police officer has falsely implicated that person and collected some recovery of the arms from that person. Then, looking at by another angle, it seems that the police officer has discharged his duty by registering FIR against the accused, and he has also recovered the weapons or prohibited arms from that person's. So it looks like that the police officer has carried out his duty, discharged his duty. However, he has intentionally robbed that person, and false recovery he made, which he himself did it, and he has registered falsely he has falsely robbed that person and registered a FIR. Therefore, finally, after the investigation was over, it was found that the case filed against that person was fake and he was robbed. Then that fellow has prosecuted this inspector, and in that case no sanction was required to be obtained of the competent authority to prosecute him, because it was not his duty to falsely implicate someone or to register offense against the innocent person, etc. Therefore, when this protective umbrella is applicable and when this protective umbrella of Section 197 is not applicable, that need to be seen and ingredients must be looked into. Blindly, no one can go that if the offense is committed by a public servant, then sanction is required to be taken. That is not the straight jacket formula. Therefore, that classification has to be done and the ingredients of Section 197 need to be checked. Now, whose sanction is required to be obtained? If the public servant is working in state government, obviously his higher authority under the state government can give sanction. Similarly, if the public servant is working in the central government, then central government through its representative can accord such a sanction. And in case of emergency under Section 356 of CRPC, 356 Article 356 of Constitution of India, then the powers are vested with central instead of state. Therefore, sanction of central government is required to be obtained. And the manner in which the sanction is required to be obtained, from whom it is required to be obtained, that the central government or state government can determine. However, in case of armed officers also, armed forces also, such kind of protection is already given to them. they also enjoy this benefit of section 197 of CRPC. Here I would like to mention one of the important aspect of this section. Now see, the person wants to prosecute any public servant, maybe Tahsildar, collector, or any judge or any public officer. Suppose he feels that the offense has been committed by that person, then he applies for sanction to the competent authority. Now once he applied to sanction, to take a previous sanction, then there are three possibilities or eventualities. Number one, the competent authority to whom the application is preferred, that he wants to prosecute the public servant, he will either grant his sanction. He will say yes, obviously in the written form. Second eventuality or possibility is that the officer, competent authority, higher authority will say that no, I am not granting any sanction. Now third possibility is that the application preferred before him is in abeyance, that authority neither decides it positively or negatively. Neither he is saying yes nor he is saying no. In that case, what could be inferred? That what the law says in this case, then a law laid down by Honorable Supreme Court of India in Subramaniam Swamy versus Manmohan Singh, wherein the Subramaniam Swamy wanted to prosecute the then Honorable Prime Minister of India Manmohan Singh. Then Subramaniam Swamy applied to previous sanction to the competent authority, and that competent authority did not decide the application for a long time of more than 3 months. Then it was inferred or interpreted by the Honorable Supreme Court of India that once the application is preferred, then the same application is not decided either way, positively or negatively, and it is kept in abeyance, and more than 3 months, that is 90 days, have been passed from the date of application of such as receipt of such application, then it shall be deemed that the competent authority has granted the sanction. Because being a student, being a lawyers, we must be knowing there is a provision under the Maharashtra Land Revenue Code. If somebody applies for non-NA order to the collector, if the collector does not decide, then it shall be deemed that within the span of 90 days, if application is not decided, it is kept in abeyance, then it shall be deemed that the collector has granted permission. Likewise, same deemed sanction is already provided here. Therefore, the judgment delivered by the Honorable Supreme Court of India is a law and which is binding precedent on all these subordinate courts and all high courts in India. Therefore, it is mandated according to Article 141 of the Constitution of India. Hence, in this case of Subramaniam Swamy versus Manmohan Singh, it is laid down that once the application is preferred to prosecute the public servant and the same application is not decided within the span of 90 days from the date of its receipt, then it shall be deemed that the competent authority has granted or accorded its sanction, that is deemed provision, deemed sanction. Now, taking into consideration this judgment can be this can be used by the complainant while filing private complaint before the magistrate. Another thing which I would like to discuss here before you is CRPC. This subject is falling in the concurrent list, as there are 3 lists of under Constitution of India, and the powers have been given to state legislature and the union legislature, parliament also. However, some subjects are there which can be based on that subjects, the law can be made either by the central government or by the state government, means state legislature or union legislature. So CRPC is falling in that concurrent list. Therefore, the amendment can be done by the state government, state legislature, or by the union, that is parliament. And the state government of Maharashtra has carried out the amendment to section 156 of section 3 and section 190 of CRPC regarding this deemed sanction, and stated the same thing, that To prosecute the public servant or judges or magistrate, if the application is preferred in the prescribed format to the competent authority and the same competent authority has not decided the said application, or the application is in abeyance and 90 days have been passed, then from that, if authority has consumed, that officer has consumed 90 days from the date of receipt of that application, then it shall be deemed that the authority has accorded its consent or permission. The same thing is stated, what is stated in the judgment of Subramaniam Swamy versus Manmohan Singh. So amendment also says like that. Now I think I have covered many things about this, when section 197 is applicable or not, when it is not applicable, ingredients of that, and whether the order passed by the magistrate of issuance of direction to the police officer to register FIR and to do investigation, whether it is cognizance or at the time of cognizance, can it be said as a taking cognizance, and number of things I have discussed before you, when sanction is required to be obtained, when sanction is not required to be obtained, and what is deemed a sanction, etc. Hope that I have covered this subject, as yesterday I have delivered a lecture in respect of section 156 subsection 3 of CRPC, private complaint. Therefore I could not complete this part because this section 197 is also part of the 156 subsection 3 and 190 of CRPC. My network of my mobile was not proper, hence today I solved this problem and thought to deliver this lecture before you. Thanks my audience that you are listening to me. Thanks.